Hello, Professor. Hello.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm good. Nice to see you again.
A pleasure and an honor, Professor. And what about your class? I I think you was in a classroom, right?
Yeah, I just finished teaching. So, yeah, we worked some techniques with extensions and a little bit of stick work.
What extensions?
Which ones did we do today? We did 5 swords with the extension.
Extension. Extension.
Yep. Yeah, and we did
Extension.
charging ram with the extension.
Charging round with the extension. No. Eh, otro día. Another day. No, mira. Charging round. Charging round. Wow. Pégale un micrófono, por favor. No metan bulla. Musashi, modelo el micrófono. And
Glancing salute with the extension.
glancing salute. Extension. Tómame la mano. Wow. And poke.
Yeah,
Something like that.
yeah, and we did menacing twirl. With the,
Enough.
Enough.
It's not. It's not.
Okay.
It's not right. It could be. It could be. Testing. I mean. Okay. Going in serious. We're waiting too for Master Frank Vigoroux, who can also with help us with the translation, because my Spanish, sorry, my English, also my Spanish is not so good. Ya viene Frank, por si acaso para los demás, ya viene Frank. But we have a list of questions. First of all, I would like to introduce. Ustedes, muchachos, no se preocupen, no tienen que decir nada todavía para presentarles yo. Las personas que están acá, the people who are here, are Christian, Musashi, Cristóbal, Juan, Fernando, Rodrigo, Valentina, ¿cómo se llama la rubia? Laura, Roberto. Most of them directly students of mine, but other guests that frequently come to my classes. So I told you in our last talk, the idea was try to do our regular class with your participation, but with the list of questions, I think I will be just reading. Anyway,
Okay. This can go anywhere we want it to go. That works for me.
Yeah. Formulate, right?
Perfect.
So we have ideal phase and what if, and today we will be at formulation stage. So I have here, first of all, guys, chicos, compren este libro. Primero que todo, compren este libro. Ahí tenemos al autor de este libro. Yo digo preferentemente, tengo una lista. I have a bunch of books. Tengo una lista así de libros, gigante, pero este es como el más resumido. But this summarizes really well all the insight in different realms. Resume varios libros más. But anyway, from that book, I remember in a talk through Twitter when you said, well, I have a lot of material. I would like to rewrite that book. Can you share that? Why you said that? This is my first question.
Yeah, no, sure. So I wrote that quite some time ago. And as everyone here can appreciate, we're always evolving and always growing in our Kenpo. I never want to feel like I've arrived at some point. As far as this is my opinion, I think that when you feel like you know all the answers, it's time to pack up your belt and retire. We're always growing.
Right. Let me translate that further.
And the other thing, Nelson, is that because of that, I feel like that was a great starting point, but I have much more knowledge now to share.
Perfect. Let me translate that.
Yep.
Primero que todo le pregunté, porque en una conversación que tuvimos hace un año ya, después le voy a recordar este proyecto, el maestro, yo le pregunté, así partió todo esto. Yo le dije, maestro, este es un excelente libro, ¿me da permiso para traducirlo? Lo lanzamos aquí, donde sea. Y él me dijo, no, porque en este momento ese libro lo haría completamente de nuevo. Entonces yo le pregunto, ¿por qué dijo eso? Y me dice que es porque, como en todo uno se va desarrollando, el libro también hoy en día escribiría de otra manera, no solamente, me lo dijo en ese momento, no solamente el material, sino que la forma de escribir el libro sería completamente distinta. Entonces, hizo una analogía que si tú terminas un producto en Kenpo, sería como hora de sacarse el cinturón, colgarlo, sacar el gi, terminé, me voy. No es la idea, ¿verdad? Uno siempre está creciendo. So I have to translate that for you, Professor. But let's go with the questions. This one is from Juan. What is your opinion regarding chi or ki? That works on the internal aspect of martial art. If so, how? Chi.
That's a great question. Here's how I'm going to answer that. Me, for those that don't know me, I do have a PhD. My PhD is in sociology. And I feel like as a scientist that I need to base what I say on evidence. Now, I know that some martial artists will talk about chi like they have all the answers, but I don't believe there's enough science behind it to be able to adequately talk about it like a fact. I'll start with that.
Perfect. Esa respuesta que dio respecto de lo que preguntaba Juan, de si las artes marciales en la parte interna trabajan con el chi o el ki, y si trabajan dentro de la parte interna, entonces ¿cómo lo hacen? Lo contestó yo creo que para Rodrigo y para mí, porque él trabaja en términos empíricos, o sea, con hechos, con facts, con lo que se ve, con lo que se puede la ciencia trabajar. Y hasta ahora la ciencia no ha profundizado lo suficiente como para hablar de ello. Short, corto. Okay, next question.
The other thing too, Nelson, I just want to add to it, because it kind of relates, is that I've seen a lot of interesting stuff with chi/ki, and including, I'm gonna say this without saying names, all kinds of no-touch knockouts and, you know, people falling down by people pointing like. Yes. Nelson, you can tell them I don't believe any of that.
No cree nada de eso. No cree nada de eso. Okay. Juan, eso era para ti, pero la segunda también es tuya. Second question. How do you solve a problem of when you're falling on the ground in a real fight, where the normal on that is more than one opponent? Considering the background, our background in Kenpo, how do you solve the problem in the ground?
There's a couple things I would say in response to that. The first is that I believe that many fighting stand-up arts, that is, whether it's Kung Fu, whether it's Kenpo Karate, whether it's Taekwondo, a lot of the striking arts, they'll criticize Jiu-jitsu because their arts are stand-up and they say they adequately address multiple attackers. But my response to that is, I don't believe that any, including Kenpo, I don't believe that any stand-up art is superior at addressing multiple attackers. In fact, I would say when I fight someone who's maybe a Kenpo Black Belt one-on-one, why did they get so tired if it's only one-on-one, but yet they think they can beat multiple people? Do you understand? So I believe that, yes, on the ground, if there's 3 or 4 people, you don't want to be on the ground. But to dismiss the ground when the reality is that you could be taken there and will have to rely on your Kenpo that didn't work standing up, I think that's a bit of an illusion.
Illusion.
Do you understand?
Yeah, at least but it's a good and long answer. Me gustaría que Juan, que hiciste la pregunta, lo tradujeras, si es que puedes. Abre el micrófono y lo traduces. Ya que tú hiciste la pregunta, quiero ver si tú lo entendiste.
Sí, lo que hice básicamente, ¿no es cierto?, es que todas las artes marciales que están trabajando de pie, como el kung fu o el karate, ¿no es cierto?, no son superiores necesariamente cuando están trabajando contra varios oponentes. Entonces, en el caso que te tiren al suelo, digamos, ¿qué te hace pensar, ¿no es cierto?, que tu arte marcial que funciona tan bien de pie, si no pudiste defenderte bien contra uno, va a funcionar bien en el suelo cuando te estás enfrentándote a varios? Eso básicamente es lo que responde.
Básicamente,
¿Y cuál fue la pregunta de Juan? Que no la tradujiste, pero...
la pregunta era cómo resuelve el problema cuando por ahí hay un amigo mío, one friend of mine, there's another one, and then I go something like this, and then you need to, entonces tienes que defenderte desde el piso. ¿Cómo resuelve ese problema? Fue la pregunta que hizo Juan. How do you solve that problem? Y la respuesta fue, si primero no te funciona aquí, está bueno. Y no te funciona aquí, y yo me salgo, lo que sea. Entonces, ¿cómo esperas hacerlo funcionar en el piso? Y si aquí, cuando me está haciendo esto, hazlo no, ok. Y desde allá viene otra persona, a multiple attack, from there. Entonces, primero resuélvelo acá, de pie, con varios atacantes de pie. Y luego ve si lo puedes aplicar en el piso. O sea, primero tratar de ver si la cosa funciona de pie, con múltiples ataques. Tu pregunta, Juan, fue bastante gruesa, si te fijas. Porque podríamos preguntar cómo resolve el tema de múltiples ataques. First of all, we can ask ourselves how we solve in terms of realistics multiple attacks. I mean, stand up and vertical position.
And you know, Nelson,
okay,
you could hear it. So basically my message is Kenpo karate, American Kenpo is beautiful, but I also think that many people get taken to the ground, and we know from the early UFCs in the early 1990s, including Kenpo people tried, but when they got taken to the ground by a much smaller Hoist Gracie, you have to know what to do on the ground also. In my opinion, this is a big statement, but to truly be a master at martial arts, I do feel that you should know how to fight standing up and on the ground.
You will be including something from Jiu-jitsu, something from, and crisscross of that.
And tie it right in with the American Kenpo.
¿Te gustó esa, Juan? O sea, él lo que hace para resolverlo sería también mezclar un poco de Jiu-jitsu en el piso, saber cómo funciona el Jiu-jitsu, pero hacerlo funcionar con Kenpo. From there, I don't know if you are aware of Master David Herman.
Yeah.
Grandmaster David.
He's phenomenal.
He works on crisscrossing martial arts. I don't remember the name of that. ¿Ah? Sí, yo le estaba preguntando si conocía a David Herman. Me dice que justamente eso, que es uno de los buenos que...
David German he's a martial arts legend. Up, down, it doesn't matter. His knowledge was incredible.
David Herman estaba por arriba de todo. Su conocimiento era... También por eso es uno de los que a mí me gustaría tener, pero...
And Nelson, I think the other message I want them to know is that they're going to be surprised when I do come how easy they can learn the jiu-jitsu. It's how easy.
That needs some pause here. Not only because Christian have a question, but I need to refresh the idea of having you here in Chile, okay? So I will take just a minute.
Sure.
Okay. Una de las cosas que el maestro, lo voy a partir al revés, que el profesor le gustaría compartir con nosotros, es el trabajo en el piso, pero viniendo a Chile. Ahí donde entra Cristóbal, Fernando, yo, con el plan que teníamos de traerle a Chile. En 15 minutos el maestro Frank dice que viene manejando, así que en 15 minutos Frank Vigoroux también se va a sumar. Pero la idea es poder traerlos ambos, porque se van a dar cuenta a la medida de esta conversación avance que el profesor Seabrook abarca unas fundaciones muy grandes, muy sólidas. En ese sentido, yo considero que ahí está el piso o la fundación de la casa. Y el maestro Frank está parado arriba en la punta de la bandera, así. No sé si me entienden. Entonces, creo que la mezcla sería muy interesante. Y eso lo conversamos ambos con el maestro, con el profesor Sidro, con el maestro Frank. So thanks for that minute. I was explaining the idea of bringing you here for a tour of seminars, we guess, okay? So that will be really good to get you in the mat. That's our project, right? That's our project. At least the budget is there. I said that. Christian, tenía una pregunta, perdón. Sorry, Christian have a question.
Que hablando del Jiu-jitsu o el Kenpo en el suelo, él ha hecho una analogía ya con respecto a las técnicas, que hay varias técnicas que tenemos de pies que se pueden aplicar movimientos de suelo. Capture lip, saludo gatillado, gripping talon, talón cruzado, snapping twist. Hay varias técnicas que si uno maneja el concepto de control del adversario, como lo hacemos con los chequeos de muñeca, perfectamente podemos aplicarlo en el suelo. La diferencia es que no sabes que lo sabes. Él ya ha hecho todo un análisis de eso.
Por ahí va más o menos la idea. Okay, Christian says, if we know the concepts in deep about, let's say, capture lips, he used some techniques. This is a lock, right? And we can do a lock in the floor. So the idea on mixing, on bringing some jiu-jitsu, is not only take some from there, but apply our knowledge that we already have. But we did, his phrase was, we didn't know we had it. Like a lock, like in tackle wing, but in the floor.
Yeah.
So it was a really good analogy. We already know that, but we are not aware that comes also from a mix of martial arts like judo or jiu-jitsu. So I have a side note here. Yo tengo una nota aparte ahí. Si tiene una lista de técnicas que trabajen así como las que tuviste, Cristian, en el piso. Do you have, Professor, a list of techniques that you, let's say, are your preferred techniques to work on the floor? Anyone?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the thing about it is here's my thing. I want to come and teach American Kenpo there, but what I don't want to do is offer just another variation of a technique. You can do that on your own. What I want to do is show you, hey, I want to make your Kenpo better by giving you different approaches of how you can apply and mix and mingle some of your Kenpo with your Jiu-Jitsu. Do you understand? So let's take a technique like, here, I'll have fun with this. Cross of death.
Cross of death. Or this is cross of death, right?
Yeah. Okay. So this will just make you think twice, right? So in Jiu-Jitsu, we never choke anybody with both our palms down. That's not a great way to choke someone. The better way is both palms up or one palm up and one palm down. So with that said, with cross of death, I'm not saying you couldn't choke anybody out, but I'm going to tell you it's very next to impossible unless you have them pinned against a wall. I'm just making stuff up on the spot. Do you understand? Because this cross choke is not a superior way to choke someone. A better way to choke someone is both palms up or one palm up and palm down. And when I show you and your students that, it'll give you different ideas to how to make your American Kenpo techniques better and how to not only understand how to defend, but how to attack better.
Okay. Hizo una analogía con esta técnica en donde nosotros estamos acostumbrados a tomar en la técnica, con las manos cruzadas, ambas manos mirando hacia abajo. El ataque es con las manos mirando hacia abajo. el profesor dice, con esto no vas a estrangular realmente a nadie, esto que se hace en la técnica no funciona. A menos que una mano esté hacia abajo o las dos estén hacia arriba. Ahí podría tal vez funcionar, y eso va a cambiar en el piso y arriba, acá también, de vertical también va a cambiar.
Yes.
Entonces,
Yes,
a mí
Rodrigo.
se me ocurre feather cross, o sea, no, feather cross, because we have here hands looking down, and then we do something like that. But in our case, in our defense, not in our attack, when we do feather cross, cross attack. Espérate, Cristian, vamos a avanzar por lo menos una pregunta más. Guárdate la tuya, hiciste hasta acá. Let's go with another one. Remember, we will try to cover at least 15 questions. Number 3, do you practice and or include in your programs the katas or form that were removed from the American Kenpo as the Panther set or target and crane? La pregunta, momento. La pregunta es si él practica o las tiene en su programa katas o formas que fueron removidas del Kenpo, como el Panther set, como el Book set, Target and Crane, y esas cosas ya como que nadie las practica. Como yo lo he visto a él que hace hartas cosas, y de hecho me mandó unos videos, la pregunta es si él las tiene en su programa y además si las practica. Now go ahead, please, Professor.
Yeah, so I absolutely love those two forms. I understand, so I will just say this, both the book set and Tiger and Crane come from Hung Gar Kung Fu. Of course, we know from our research and knows that knew Ed Parker on a personal level that he was very highly influenced by Kung Fu. So these were taught to Ed Parker by someone named Jimmy Woo. And
right?
Yes, and both the Tiger and Crane and book set are beautiful forms that focus on not only fluidity and gracefulness, but mixing soft and hard, relax power. I love both of those forms. I learned them many years ago, and I still practice them to this day. I think they have tremendous value.
But do you have
Nelson,
it?
But they were
But do you
never
have it in your
required.
program?
Yeah, they were never required for promotion in American Kenpo.
Never?
Never required to get promoted. Ed Parker taught them. I've done a lot of research in this. Ed Parker taught them, but they were never required to get promoted to a next level of belt.
But question is, do you have it in your programs?
Oh, as a requirement, no. I teach the American Kenpo curriculum exactly as taught in Infinite Insights into Kenpo Volume 5. But if someone wants to learn the book set or Tiger and Crane, they'll do it through private lessons.
Ok, entonces dice que le encuentra mucho valor a eso de la parte del Kung Fu, del Hungar Kung Fu. Él las practica, pero no las tiene en el currículum porque nunca se exigieron para un examen, nunca se tomaron como para parte de avanzar en el examen. El punto es que si alguien las quiere aprender, él las enseña en forma privada. O sea, si alguien quiere aprender de esa forma, igual las enseña. ¿Ok? Ahora sí, Cristian, mientras descanso con el lápiz, ¿cuál era tu pregunta? Cristian, have another question.
Con respecto a la técnica que está hablando de crossos de apsi, ¿no? O la cruzada.
¿Ya?
Para que funcione esa técnica, bajo mi experiencia, más o menos qué piensa él con respecto a lo que es Kenpo y con respecto a lo que es Judo, Jiu-Jitsu. Bajo mi experiencia en suelo, tómalo de nuevo al Nelson Jr., porfa. Para que funcione, haz lo que hiciste, hace la cruz de nuevo hacia arriba los codos. Ya, eso no sirve. Ahora, baja el brazo izquierdo y sube el derecho y hace push-pull. Y ve cómo le afecta el cuello a... No, así. Sí, pero no lo extiendas sino hacia arriba. Tienes que hacer que el cogote... Eso. Y ahí lo tiras hacia abajo cuando estás en el suelo para generar la asfixia o tratar de cortar acá. Cuando él lo está trabajando con pull-push o lo está trabajando más pegado, ya que lo está comparando con judo.
Okay, question is, when you talk about the grab with the two hands, you said both hands are going up or at least one.
Yeah.
And when you work that, you are applying some jiu-jitsu movement. Christian works some of those movements. So you use your elbow to choke the opponent.
I use the difference is I don't use just my arms. I use my back muscles like this.
Okay.
So when I'm on top in the mount and they're on the bottom, it just quickly plugs the carotid artery on both sides.
Okay,
Yes.
Christian, es algo así. Es algo así.
Yeah.
Es algo así.
Deep
Con
in the
los codos,
collar.
pero al usar esta musculatura.
And then tuck your head and pull to your hip gently. He'll go right to sleep.
Gently.
Yeah.
Gently. Gentilmente le haces esto y lo jalas como hacia tu cintura. Lo jalas hacia acá y usas la musculatura de la espalda.
So another one, Nelson, not to diverge, would be like locking horns.
Locking horns? Are you Anderson? Locking horns? With extension?
Just the base is okay. So
Okay.
so the attack, right? They have you in like a front headlock, a choke. Yeah. What I would do for locking horns, do it exactly as written. But what I'd love to show your people is how to apply a proper guillotine. So apply a proper guillotine, and then not only do you learn how to defend, but you learn how to apply a proper choke. And then again, good night.
Okay, something like this, I think.
And then your armpit goes down and you just gently lift. Be careful. The problem, the point
Like
is,
something like sleeper too.
yeah. So the thing about it is, Nelson, all of the techniques in American Kenpo are phenomenal. It's just when we learn the perspective of the attacker, that's, I believe, how we get much better. And by learning how to do a proper guillotine choke, that'll change locking horns forever.
Okay, the second point of view. The opponent point of view. Entonces, él dice que ya le mostré a Cristian abajo cómo puede funcionar la tomada. Entonces, está más enfocado, no sé si se dieron cuenta, Juan también lo de notar, que se puede aprender más del segundo punto de vista, o sea, del atacante, de mí, en este caso locking horns, que nosotros digamos hacemos esto, y eso es como para entrenarlo, eso es como un show. Pero si realmente ustedes van a estrangularlo, entonces pueden hacer una llave, una guillotina, que es mucho mejor, como se está tomando las manos el mismo, y lo van a mandar a dormir. Entonces, si ustedes quieren hacer funcionar en ese momento locking horns, va a cambiar completamente. Locking horns en términos de defenderse, al cambiar la manera en que un grappler tomaría. Porque nosotros todos sabemos que esto se ve un poco floppy. ¿Ya? Pero si me tomo la mano o me tomo acá y me tomo aquí y lo aprieto, eso va a cambiar su locking horns. Ok, Christian, si las otras te las guardas, let's go with another question. What are your favorite movement, pattern, or master key technique? What are your favorite movement, pattern, or master key technique? Do you have one? Why?
I know this might be hard to believe, but I would say the vast majority of techniques in American Kenpo, whatever technique I'm teaching becomes my favorite, and I'm not, and it's not a cop out. I just like,
I know that.
It's people say the same. What's your favorite form?
Yeah, I know that.
Kata. You know, I'm teaching short 3. It's short form 3. I'm teaching long 4. It's long 4. I mean, I really, here's the thing. I'll just say this broadly. Techniques that I believe can work for anyone of any size, of any gender, are my favorite. I do feel that there are some techniques that are not ideal for some people who are much smaller than a bigger, stronger, heavier opponent.
Ok, entonces, si hay una... La pregunta es, ya gracias, aquí me está corrigiendo. Si hay un movimiento o patrón de movimientos o una master key technique que él tenga como preferida, y si tiene una preferida, ¿por qué? Bueno, contestó de las dos cosas, amplia. Porque cualquiera sea lo que esté enseñando, se transforma en lo favorito al momento de estar enseñándolo. O sea, si está enseñando la corta 2, se transforma en lo favorito. Si está enseñando la corta 3, o la larga 3, o 5 espadas, eso es lo favorito que lo disfruta porque va a cambiar de persona a persona. Entonces va a tener que explorar con personas que son más bajas, con personas que son más altas y adaptarlo. Y ese es el momento en que uno realmente empieza a indagar dentro de la técnica y él encuentra las cosas favoritas de esa técnica. Por eso que hay que pololear con harto. Okay, thanks for that, professor. Next one. This comes from Rodrigo. If it's possible to control the different muscles of the body consciously and independently. Si es posible controlar la musculatura conscientemente y independientemente. If it is possible to control the different muscles of the body consciously and independently.
Yes, you know, I do believe that is possible, but again, it's not something that I spend a lot of focus on.
Ok, perfecto. Es algo que es posible, pero una vez más, si se fijan, va más a lo empírico, entonces, aunque eso pueda ser posible, es posible, no es algo en que enfocarse. Hay mucho campo todavía que aprender, entonces yo no encuentro la razón. Okay, next one. This is mine, and it's short. You need to answer faster, okay? Esta pregunta es mía y tiene que responderla lo más rápido posible. Faster. It's just an election. Japan or China?
Both. No way, Nelson. Both. Linear, linear. When linear moves finish, circular begin. When circular moves finish, linear begin. Okay. I believe both.
Dijo que le gustan los dos, chino y japonés, porque usó una frase del maestro Parker. Cuando la línea termina, el círculo comienza, eso es chino. Esto es japonés, esto es chino. Y cuando el círculo termina, la línea reaparece.
Nelson.
Ajá.
I've fought some very good black belts from Japanese styles and very good from Chinese. They hit just as hard.
Wow, that's the best empirical. That's the best empirical thought on that. O sea, él tiene buenos estudiantes que van más por el lado japonés y tiene buenos estudiantes que van por el lado chino. Entonces pegan igual de fuerte, así que no hay dónde elegir. Los dos. Okay, next one. This is a good one. And I will love if you can explain freely on this. Esta es una pregunta importante y me gustaría que se explayara en esto. La pregunta es, a través de algunos videos que yo he visto en YouTube, él habla de su visión personal de la competencia en las artes marciales. Entonces, si puede compartir eso mismo que dijo en los videos, para mí estaría bien. So the question is, I know something from your videos, Professor, about the competition, but can you share with us your personal view on martial arts going on competitions?
Yes, my view is this: if once in a while you compete and it helps you get in better shape, train more, and helps you eat healthier, that's a good thing. But overall, you're going to be surprised by this. I believe that martial arts was never meant for competition and point fighting. I believe that it's meant for street self-defense, and that is why people first came into to train with you and to train with me. They wanted to exercise and learn how to defend themselves in a street situation.
Are you sure on that? Because there are some people that go with us trying to go immediately to the competition. I mean, they are looking at something like Taekwondo. They have a lot of competitions. I really know that the intentions of someone that comes to us to learn, I mean, they know this is only martial arts, self-defense. Because
I think most people know that?
Yeah.
Is that what are you asking
Yeah,
that?
that's completed. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say in general, that is the reason why most people get into martial arts, to learn to not only physical exercise, of course, and get in better shape, which is a big issue today because of overweight, obesity, but I think the other issue is they want to learn how to defend themselves. And I believe that.
Thanks for that. No, sí. La pregunta era si, ya lo saben, si qué opinaba él de las artes marciales en la competencia, en los torneos. Entonces él dice que si tú lo vas a usar para ir a un torneo y te sirve para ponerte en forma y mantenerte activo, tiene su valor. Pero su visión personal es que las artes marciales, desde su origen, jamás estuvieron pensadas para los deportes. Esto es para defenderse, para la calle, para la defensa personal. Y eso es lo que buscan las personas cuando se nos acercan. Entonces yo le pregunté, le dije, pero hey, ¿estás seguro de que buscan eso? Yo he tenido alumnos que llegan 2, 3 clases y dicen, no hay competencia y se van. Él dice, por lo menos la mayoría de las personas vienen a buscarnos por defensa personal, self-defense.
Nelson, can you just share one more thing? I went to years ago, I went to a Hoist Gracie seminar, and he said something that was so inspiring to me. He said, my father never taught me to be a fighter. He taught me to be a good teacher.
Wow. En un seminario de Jiu-jitsu al que fue, el instructor dijo que el papá nunca le enseñó a ser un buen luchador. Siempre le enseñó a ser un buen instructor. Hay harta diferencia ahí, ¿no? Ser un buen instructor y no un buen luchador. Thanks for your words. Cristian, tenías una pregunta. Los demás... Dale.
Ya que estaba hablando de que la arte marcial está enfocada como defensa personal, algunos quieren competir, otros no. En el caso de él, la mayoría son para defensa personal. ¿Qué pensamiento tiene él con respecto a lo que es el combate en sus clases? No importa cuál, si usa point, light, full, con protección, sin protección.
Perfecto. Perfect. Got it. On the same topic, in your studio, in your classes, do you use some kind of spar, some kind of light contact or freestyling, sparring, fighting?
Every class.
Todas las clases.
and Nelson, this is another thing I want to say. I fight my black belts every class.
Wow. Ok, y él se encarga de pelear con los cinturones negros cada clase.
And I will also say this. This is something that the message I want to get across. It is really easy to look good in Kenpo. Doing techniques on someone that stays there like a statue, you must fight.
Ok, eso es un poco chistoso, ¿verdad? Es muy fácil, haz la técnica que tú quieras, de fight sword. Es muy fácil verse bien, hazlo bonito. Es muy fácil verse bonito, fight sword, ¿sabes? Con alguien que parece como yo, una estatua, y no hace nada. Y eso no tiene absolutamente nada que ver cuando realmente estás combatiendo. Cuando sea un poquito de combate o de sparring. Así que, claro, le pone énfasis. Pero no es lo mismo tu pregunta, Cristian, ya voy, Fernando. No es lo mismo tu pregunta, Cristian, de lo que pasa en un torneo a lo que hagas en clase, ¿te fijas? Está enfocado a lo profesor. Thanks for your side words, but I have Fernando with another question. Fernando.
Pero también había preguntado en cuál estilo usaba más en clase. Si era solamente el combate al punto o...
Okay. There's a side note about the same topic again. But Professor, what kind of style do you use for a spar? The light contact, the point fighting, or full contact? What protection? What do you use in your class?
Great question. So I don't do point fighting. So to me, I don't want to. This is me. I don't want to hit and stop, because a real fight, if you hit and stop, the person is going to hit you back. So we do all continuous sparring, but the level of contact corresponds to the belt level. And
okay,
I'll start with that.
Sure. No, with that it's all clear. de partida no hace punto americano, no hace esto, porque un oponente cuando le hace esto que te pasó a ti, Cristian, no se va a detener ahí la acción. O sea, porque algún árbitro te diga stop, punto, él no se va a detener realmente la calle y eso te crea un mal hábito. Entonces, él usa más el light contact y el contacto, y ese contacto va dependiendo del cinturón. Entonces, de a poquitito va golpeando un poquitito más fuerte, de a poquitito, hasta que el alumno se vaya acostumbrando a ese nivel de contacto. Depende del cinturón. Ahora sí, Fernando.
And then Nelson, I would say the best fighters are the ones that can beat someone by this much. If you beat someone up, no one's going to come back.
Juan, ¿puedes traducir eso?
Understand? Yeah.
Juan, by this one. Tu micrófono, Juan.
Sí, dijo que los mejores peleadores eran aquellos que derrotaban a su rival ganándole por un pequeño margen. Eso es lo que dijo.
O sea, and I remember something about that. You said, "I will fight with your student, and I will win." But just like, ojo, él va a venir y va a combatir con todos nosotros, pero nos va a dejar, o sea, nos va a ganar, pero por muy poquito. Nos va a ganar, o sea, no tenemos nada que hacer. Nos va a ganar, pero nos va a ganar por poquito.
Because listen, sparring, to me, sparring is supposed to be loads of fun. Loads of fun. The problem with mixed martial arts is they go in, they try to make a quick career out of it. They have 2 or 3 concussions and they're done for life. We want to train in Kenpo until we're 99.
Right. Okay, same like soccer, football.
Yes.
50 years and you're out. Ok, la analogía que hizo es que si nosotros combatemos bien y nos preparamos todo el tiempo para ese tipo de combate y nos vamos acostumbrando, nosotros deberíamos llegar, eso es tan bueno y tan necesario, que deberíamos llegar hasta los 90 años poder haciéndolo, combatiendo, a los 90 años. ¿Ok? Si no hay más preguntas, Fernando, tenías una tú, ¿no?
Sí.
Sí, hace rato,
Okay.
lo estoy parando.
No, tranquilo. Tranquilo. Lo que pasa es que como estamos en el tema, yo tenía una pregunta relacionada. No sé si sería o no. Mira, la pregunta, claro, la pregunta es la siguiente. Si es Kenpo realmente fue diseñado como defensa personal o fue diseñado como un sistema, más que nada para aprendizajes de movimiento y que en el fondo la defensa personal te sirve estudiando la self-defense y con la habilidad que puedas desarrollar y obviamente también el tema del combatir. Porque no sé si realmente aprendiéndote la self-defense sin combatir puedas defenderte.
Espérate, la pregunta es entonces, ¿cómo se desarrolló? Si fue directamente para la self-defense, para defenderse.
Sí, fue realmente para defenderse o aprendiendo.
Todos los fundamentos, uno llega a eso.
Exacto.
Agarrando el combate, agarrando la self-defense.
Sí, eso es.
¿Cuál de esas dos ideas fue? Porque igual me la pusiste difícil en español. Okay, the question is, sorry, professor, the question is, in your thought, in your opinion, since this was taught Kenpo, American Kenpo, what do you think on, what was the idea behind the development of Kenpo? I mean, Kenpo was developed for self-defense or was developed for a system of movement that include all of branches of freestyling, self-defense, forms, all of our curriculums, and from there you can get the self-defense. So both directly for self-defense or a system of movement from you can get the self-defense. What was the original thought? I mean,
yeah, well, that's a great question. Yeah, that's an excellent question. What I always tell my students is Kenpo is a system that is based on rules and principles of motion. But I will tell you this, it is one of the most complete martial arts systems also for street self-defense. I truly believe that. I think you can have rules and principles of motion, a study of motion, but also there's so much value in this system and a I firmly believe it's one of the most effective street self-defense systems in the world.
Ok. Entonces, básicamente, yo creo que con eso responde los dos, pero es al estar construido con una gran variedad de ramas como la segunda alternativa, Fernando, con una gran cantidad de alternativas desde donde se puede tomar, tú puedes hacer las dos cosas, puedes tomar desde ahí o directamente tomar la defensa, porque está tan bien diseñado y tan bien construido que es uno de los mejores sistemas de defensa en la calle. Okay, so then go with the next one. What's your favorite color? Esa hizo Cristian. Okay, and then what's your vision on those? What's your vision about weapons in Kenpo? Your vision about using weapons in a real confrontation? Weapons.
Well, I'll say two things. One, sticks, knives are two of the most important weapons to know. My view on weaponry is this. When you are good at weapons, they become part of you. They become an extension of your hand. And you cannot learn to effectively defend against a weapon, in my opinion, unless you know how to use that weapon.
Perfect. Está más claro que la echarle agua, ¿lo entendieron, no? Y Juan lo entendió. O sea, la idea es poder agarrar un bastón, agarra un cuchillo. Calma, ya viene, mi cámara ya viene de vuelta. Ya, okay. La idea es que un arma, agárrala, es necesaria y saber usarla hasta que se convierta en una extensión de tu cuerpo. Por eso yo he escuchado por ahí a alguien más decir que cuando agarras un bastón, aquí hay una articulación, aquí hay un codo y este es el primer codo, después ahora viene un segundo codo. Entonces, este sigue siendo parte de tu brazo. ¿Para qué? ¿Con qué objeto? Con el valor de entender cómo funciona el arma, y al entender cómo funciona un arma, sabes cómo defenderte de ella, porque sabes cómo la van a usar contra ti. O sea, aprendemos a utilizar... ¡Wow! ¡Wow! This is from New Jersey. It's connecting audio. It's connecting audio. Your audio, master, your audio. Pide el audio a Maestro Francisco. Pide el audio. No sé si se entendió lo de las armas. Hello.
Ahí está.
Oh, perdona, recién llegué, fui a dejar a mi hija. Hey, James, how you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Oh my God, very good. So good to see you in a long time.
Nice to see you too.
Oh God, it's been a long time.
Okay, yeah, ahora nosotros nos vamos y ellos van a volver un rato. So then we can then now go and you start talking. So that's all for all, guys.
You can stay. Don't worry about it. It's so good to see you. Long time. How's everything?
Absolutely. Great to see you too.
When was the last time
I want this COVID to come to an end so we can all come back together again.
I really hope. Definitely. It will happen.
Yeah.
It will happen.
When was the last time you met?
Oh my gosh. I don't know, 15 years?
Yeah, about that. Many years ago.
Many years ago. I remember it was Tatum camp in Maryland, I believe.
Yes. Yep. That's right.
Right? Wow. That's been
so that would be maybe 2006, around there.
As a matter of fact, I got the certificate here at the studio. It says, yeah. I mean, believe me, I got it right here. Watch, I'll show you. It's over there on top.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
It says, tell you right now.
Go for the year.
Actually, August 12, 2006.
Yep.
Oh my God, such a long time.
I was 12.
Traduce por Nelson.
No, es que le estoy preguntando, perdón, maestros.
Yes.
Sorry. Le estaba preguntando cuándo fue la última vez que se vieron, porque se están encontrando acá, pues entonces partieron la conversación ahí como, ya, y yo dije, ok, ahora nosotros nos vamos, se ponen a pololear ellos y nosotros nos vamos. Entonces...
No, I took long because I would drive my daughter home, and I say, you know what, because I told Nessa 8 o'clock, so sure I'll be there. So, but I finished at 6:15, something like that. And then I teach a class to call in Canada and Cambridge. I was teaching them. As soon as I finished, I packed my daughter. I drove her back home. Nice. And I tried to connect it. For some reason, my phone didn't get the signal. So
don't worry about that, Master.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
So, well, anyway, I'm here.
Don't worry.
Hola a todos, muchachos. Un placer. Mucho gusto en verlo a todos.
Saludos a los maestros, los que están ahí con los invitados que están ahí.
¿Qué tal? Hola,
Entonces,
¿qué tal?
déjame terminar la pregunta, pues, maestro, que yo le pregunto que cuándo fue la última que se vieron, y dice que fue algo así como 15 años para atrás, y el maestro Frank dice, sí, fue en Maryland, en un seminario del maestro Dayton. Ah, ya tengo el certificado. Agosto 12, dijo.
Agosto 12, 2006.
2006, agosto, ahí fue la última vez que se encontraron.
Ah, sí.
Well, maestro, nosotros estamos haciéndole unas preguntas al profesor Jamie Seabrook.
Ya.
Haga su propia lista, pues, maestro, porque nosotros se las vamos a bombardear a usted también, así si hacemos un crisscross de respuestas.
Okay.
So we are now in the number 9, question number 9. We already talked about weapons. If you can get us your edition 2, that will be good.
All right.
And actually, if you can help me with this translation, we'll be better.
Yeah, actually, I can help you. Sí.
Perfect. Okay. Next question, using your book, Professor Seabrook. This is short. Why those 10 master key techniques published not only in your book, but other medias too? And for example, this is a question from Christian. For example, why shielding hammer is a master key technique? Even that technique can come from a variation of 5 swords, other master key technique. So why those 10 master key technique? And I can complete that question saying, I know that Dennis Conaster was the guy who put it. So what was the criteria for use those 10 master key technique? Frank Trejo, by the way, have another 10 master key technique.
Well, as you know, I'm in addition to a martial artist, I'm a researcher.
Yo soy una persona que busca muchos recursos también, aparte de ser un artista marcial.
And as a researcher, I like to explore everything, the big picture, right?
Y como un investigador me gusta explorar bien la foto completa.
So when I think of a master key move, I think of a move that you see that pattern over and over and over again.
Cuando yo veo una llave maestra, yo veo el patrón de nuevo y otra vez y otra vez.
So for example, I think you gave an example of shielding hammer. That is a pattern like 5 swords that you see repeated.
Entonces, por ejemplo, cuando veo un patrón como espada, shield sword, y después la veo en 5 espadas y es el mismo tipo de patrón que se repite otra vez.
But I don't believe that just being a master key technique necessarily makes them better.
Pero yo no creo que necesario una llave maestra te hace ser mejor.
So for example,
por ejemplo,
I think that 5 swords is much easier to do if you have more body strength and someone smaller, or perhaps a female that's being attacked by a bigger, stronger, heavier person.
Okay,
I think they'll have more challenge with a technique as popular as 5 swords.
Yo creo que 5 espadas sale mucho mejor cuando una persona es de contextura delgada, de contextura con poca fuerza, como una mujer. Yo creo que sale mucho mejor.
I'm even saying for myself,
yo creo que para mi persona,
I might adopt something different than 5 swords for a wild hook punch.
Yo ajusto algo mucho mejor que un simple 5 sword con un gancho.
But it teaches movement that I can use.
Pero enseña los movimientos que yo puedo usar, definitivamente.
Wow. But that is not an answer to the question, right? Because the question was, why those 10 techniques?
No era la respuesta, pero ¿por qué te estoy preguntando cuáles fueron las 10 técnicas, las 10 llaves maestras?
¿Por qué esas 10? Why those 10 techniques?
Because you see those 10 techniques everywhere throughout the system.
Tú ves esas 10 técnicas a través de todo el sistema.
Nelson, if I have a key that works on my front door, my back door, my office at work, that's a master key.
Si yo tengo una llave que funciona en mi oficina, la puerta de atrás, la puerta de adelante y abre todas las puertas, es una llave maestra.
You can unlock those techniques and see those patterns all throughout the system.
Tú puedes desbloquear esas técnicas, las puedes ver en un patrón en todas las técnicas.
That's why those 10.
Por eso esas son esas 10.
In my opinion.
En mi opinión.
Okay. Gracias, maestro. Esto no puede estar pasando, este es un sueño. Muchas gracias, maestro. ¿Y no ha subido el videito, maestro?
No, lo voy a subir, ya.
Pero 2 horas ahí haciendo la música. Ya.
Que tengo otro trabajito ahí, otro por ahí. Laura, ¿cómo estás?
I will not translate that, professor. It's not necessary, okay? Next question. We have just 5 questions more. And I think it comes one for you too, Master Vigoroux. But anyway, at least this one for you, Professor. Since distance is our first ally in combat, we all can know, right? What would be the ally or the advantage once you are in the floor combat?
This is for me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All for you. For you.
So I believe the 2 safest distances.
Yo creo que hay 2 distancias de seguridad.
Are far apart.
Que están una tras de otra, divididas.
Or skin tight.
O de piel.
En el piso, ¿verdad?
The problem with pure striking.
El problema con el golpes puros.
Is that I can hit them, but they can hit me back.
Que yo le puedo pegar a él, pero él no me puede pegar a mí.
But when I've got them this close, their punching is nullified.
Pero si yo lo tengo agarrado de cerca, no se va a poder golpear.
Bien de cerca no golpea. ¿Parado bien lejos? ¿Parado bien lejos o muy de cerca?
Correcto.
So, and I would say this also, Nelson, is that if 2 people are fighting,
si 2 personas están peleando,
and one person is clearly getting the better advantage of the other person,
y si una persona tiene claramente la ventaja de la otra,
but the person who's losing doesn't know how to close the gap,
pero la otra persona no sabe cómo acercar la distancia,
all they do is grit their teeth and hope for that one lucky punch.
Pero lo único que están esperando cuál es el puño de suertudo el que va a pegar.
But if you close the gap and clinch them,
pero si lo presionas y cierra la distancia,
you nullify their punches.
Tú sabes dónde se van a controlar los golpes.
Ok, Roberto preguntó cuál había sido la pregunta, cuál era, si nosotros consideramos en Kenpo que la distancia es nuestro primer aliado, una frase que todos conocemos, entonces ¿cuál sería el aliado en el piso? Y ahí lo tradujo el maestro, que es si no lo deja golpear. Okay, next question, just 4 left. Do you consider, Professor Seabrook, if it is necessary to teach the whole program to the students, or is better to guide them to discover it?
I believe you should teach the whole program.
I'll translate real quick the question for you, real quick to them. ¿Cuál ustedes creen? I'm sorry, James. ¿Cuál ustedes creen que es la mejor opción? ¿Enseñar todo el programa o enseñar un segmento del programa? Dijiste.
Exacto.
Yeah,
o enseñar o dejar que el alumno lo descubra. What of those?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
So yeah, what I was saying is I believe it's important to teach the entire program, because if you don't teach all the techniques, you will not see the links and parallels and all the relationships between the moves.
Yo creo que es mejor enseñar todo el sistema porque no vas a ver cómo una técnica se entrelaza con otra cuando ves el sistema completo.
The other really thing that I find fascinating,
yo lo que he encontrado muy fascinante,
is that I bet my bottom dollar.
Say it again.
I'll bet every penny.
Yo he apostado cada centavo.
That Master Vigouroux's favorite techniques are different than mine.
Que las técnicas favoritas de Vigoroux son diferentes a las mías. I'm pretty sure.
So if I only taught my favorites, you're not getting the whole picture.
Pero si tú no tienes mis favoritas, no vas a ver todas las fotos. La foto completa.
Maestro, esto está siendo grabado y dijo, maestro Vigoroux dijo, yo creo, dijo, traduciendo, maestro Vigoroux dijo, yo creo que es necesario grabar, yo creo que es necesario enseñar todo el programa. Creo que voy a usar esa parte. No crea, maestro, son solo bromas. Muchas gracias nuevamente. No voy a cansar de agradecerle esto, maestro. No me voy a cansar, así que tírame las tareas que quiera. Ok, next one. Many times the debate is around Kenpo, is whatever works for the street. Regarding that, do you train the psychological part of to reach a confrontation? And if you consider the hormonal part also in regard to the confrontation? I mean, psychological.
Yo creo que el sistema de Kenpo es para la calle, pero tú has considerado ver la parte psicológica del arte?
Del combate.
Del combate.
So that I understand the question you're asking, do I teach about the psychological aspect of a confrontation?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, I do.
How?
Yo enseño la parte psicológica de la confrontación, definitivamente sí.
So for example, let's say I'm teaching children.
Por ejemplo, si estoy enseñando a los niños.
And a child is getting bullied.
Y el niño ha sido objeto de burla.
Tie my shoe. Tie my shoes.
Se amarra los zapatos.
Give me that rock.
Dame esa piedra.
Give me your candy.
Dame tu caramelo.
And the bullying continues.
Y el abuso.
Bullying, si acá lo conocemos como bullying.
Yeah.
El matón.
El matón continúa.
I'm just giving funny examples, but the point.
Esto es un ejemplo gracioso.
The point is, as the person being bullied,
como la persona ha sido abusada,
I teach them to get into their mind.
Yo le enseño cómo meterse en la mente del que lo abusa.
By asking them this one question.
Y le pregunto esta pregunta.
Are you trying to fight me?
¿Tú tratas de pelearme?
And 99 times out of 100.
Y 99% de 100.
The bully doesn't attack you.
El bully no te va a atacar.
Because you took that psychological advantage away.
Porque tocaste la parte psicológica, la ventaja de la parte psicológica la alcanzaste.
And then I teach the child.
Entonces le enseño al niño.
Because if you're not going to fight me, it stops now.
Porque si no me va a pelear, ahora me va a pelear.
Ok, yo lo agarro más o menos para redondearlo. ¿Lo entendieron? La cabeza sí lo entendieron. Pero es colocarle a la persona en el nivel de combate. Porque si le dice, hazme esto y le tira el pelo y todo, él le hace una sola pregunta que, espérate, ¿quieres pelear conmigo? Porque ahí lo estás confrontando, de verdad lo llevas al nivel en donde la confrontación, o sea,
sí.
que me abres el zapato, que te tire la piedra, que lo que sea, pero espérate, lo que estás tratando es que pelear conmigo.
Explain it now, your answer.
Si les hacen esa pregunta, si el chico le hace esa pregunta al matón, lo pone en un estado psicológico que inmediatamente o dice que sí y ahí vamos.
Nelson, let's call that a new term in Kenpo. Let's call it verbal Kenpo.
Vamos a llamar una nueva terminología en Kenpo, es el Kenpo verbal.
Kenpo verbal. Es una forma de, es a movement. Fighting with the mouth.
Because usually a bully doesn't want to fight. They want to have a psychological advantage.
A veces los bullies no quieren pelear, solamente te quieren controlar psicológicamente.
Claro. Entonces, Cristian, ¿quiere una pregunta?
Yo personalmente creo que la psicología cuando se creó el Kenpo no se está desarrollando como ahora. Yo personalmente creo que el profesor Parque o el maestro Parque creó el Kenpo como un arma de defensa personal que se usaba muy bien en la calle. Y también pienso como profesor con respecto a lo que es bullying, porque yo viví lo que es bullying. Por eso me volví lo que soy en este momento en las artes marciales. ¿Cómo lo maneja, por ejemplo, si yo trabajo mucho la psicología más allá del hablar, sino de la posición, la psicología física? Por ejemplo, a mí me ha pasado que me han tratado de asaltar y ha llegado solamente a un catestán, un neutral bow, a una posición firme.
Para traducir.
Cristian.
Es que el Nelson hace siempre el resumen, po. No, profe.
Bueno, resumen,
Nelson,
Frank, él va directo.
Nelson, sale de la pantalla, por favor.
Oye, fija al maestro Frank y fija al maestro...
Basically,
Bueno, ustedes fíjenlo.
basically, he said when Mr. Parker created American Kenpo, he based his art according to back then how the situation was on the street back then. But today, things have been very different, and the psychological aspect of American Kenpo has been changed so much after many years. And the way I use not much talking, but I'm using in a very physical way to explain my psychological aspect of martial arts. That's just keep going. So, dale.
Dale, Cristian.
Perdón, estaba tratando de escuchando. Cuando llega...
¿Qué dijiste eso? La pregunta es...
Sí, la pregunta es cómo maneja en el punto que el bullying ya quiere llegar al choque, al golpe, al strike con el estudiante. Dos alternativas. Primero, saber pararse, position, y la segunda se hace... Cuando una persona vivió bullying, tiene miedo de enfrentarse, excepto que ya haya combatido o haya tenido en el cuerpo en un entrenamiento que le dé la seguridad. Entonces, ¿cómo lo hacen ellos? Bueno, los dos profesores, que el maestro Fran va a entender, ¿cómo lo hacen ellos para poder enseñarle al niño llegar a la posición o llegar al enfrentamiento psicológicamente y psicológica en el sentido de postura y ya.
Tiene que llegar ahí el momento de.
Claro.
All right. He said pretty much how you deal when the kids has the psychological aspect and how you lever and how you deal when the situation get finally into a real confrontation. How do you deal with that? When a bullying take over and the situation get to that point, how do you deal with that?
I'm not sure I fully understand the question. Is it with a kid?
Yeah, what happened in situation when a kid it's been in school and the situation, and then you try to level in a very psychological aspect that you put it, you know, put it in more confident stage, the kid. But what happened when the situation take over and actually start on a confrontation, they start fighting? How do you deal situation like that?
Yeah, I'd say a couple things. I would say the first is that
par de cosas, digo. La primera,
we can train people physically in Kenpo.
Nosotros podemos entrenar a la gente físicamente en el Kenpo.
Mental health takes time.
Y la cuestión mental toma un poco más de tiempo.
But as we all know,
pero como todos sabemos,
confidence will continue to go up with more experience.
Y es verdad, sí. La confianza va a ir tomando poco a poco mientras vaya teniendo más experiencia.
And in my experience,
mi experiencia,
most kids that stand up to bullies, the bullies don't fight.
En mi experiencia, cuando el muchacho se le para al bullying, ya ahí empieza a controlar la situación y los bullies no se le paran al muchacho.
But in the few situations where they do fight,
pero la situación cuando comienza la pelea,
interestingly, I still find that the bullying stops because it was all about the psychological mental edge, not about the fighting.
Yeah, yo creo que cuando ya la situación llega ahí, pase lo que pase, ya en ese momento, por esa pelea, ya el bullying se controló. Pase lo que pase. Ya el nivel de bullying ya baja.
Ya está la actitud, por eso yo lo resumí en la actitud que también se va agregando. Fernando tiene una pregunta.
Yo. Hola, buenas noches. Son dos, Master Frank, pero es básicamente lo mismo. Si los puede traducir, por favor. En el caso de bullying, si él trabaja con el padre de un niño que llegue por tema de bullying a su institución.
In the case of bullying, sometimes do you work with the parents as well when the kids is being bullied in school? That's one question. La otra.
Si es que un alumno de él, si es que le ha tocado algún caso en que un alumno de él al hijo de él le haya tocado tema de bullying, o sea, cómo trata su alumno el tema del bullying del hijo de él, o cómo lo trataría.
And if you deal with your own students and being abused by bullying, if you have experienced that as be a teacher and your own students, that's the two questions.
I got the first one, but then it froze a little bit. Can you say the last part of the question?
The last one was if you have a deal with situation when your own student get bullied in school, if you've been dealing with that type of situation. That's the second one.
Yeah. I'd say a couple things. The first is that I have had to help out and speak and get involved with the parents before.
Yo he tratado de las dos situaciones, me ha tocado que he conversado con los papás.
But I generally find the longer they're in martial arts, the less trouble they get in.
Pero yo me he dado cuenta que mientras más toma artes marciales el niño, menos se mete en problemas, menos problemas tiene.
And the bullies recognize their confidence, so they stay away.
So, y los bullying reconocen la confianza que tiene el muchacho y ya el bullying se comienza a alejar. That's true.
Los bullers, en este caso. Los bullers. Okay.
Good one.
I think this question is for both. Why techniques in Form 4 are incomplete? Rather than, for example, Form 5, where the techniques are full done. I mean, protecting fans, you know, this is not the end of protecting fans, right?
Oh, why is that a piece? What is a piece in every?
What is only a piece? Why is not complete? The technique in Form 4.
Okay. I don't know. But primero.
We could go back and forth. I have a couple perspectives on it.
Yo tengo varias perspectivas al respecto.
The first is, I would say that some techniques.
Yo creo que lo primero, algunas técnicas.
In Form 4.
En el largo 4.
Are actually over complete.
Son completadas.
5 swords.
5 espadas.
We add in a kick punch.
Y pegamos contra patada y puño.
So one could argue that's almost over complete.
Yo creo que eso está como sobre completado.
Or not everyone teaches thundering hammers this way.
O no muchas personas te enseñan thundering hammers de esta manera.
But when you rotate into your twist to do thundering hammers on the other side.
Pero cuando tú giras y haces la rotación para ir al otro lado, puedes hacer thundering hammers de esta otra manera.
Some add an additional back knuckle to the first opponent.
Algunos le agregan un puño, un back face, un back knuckle al otro oponente, como que se le agrega.
So I would actually argue that's over complete.
Yo creo que eso está como sobre completado.
Más que completo, Cristian.
As for the incomplete.
Ahora pregunto las incompletas.
In my opinion, forms are not supposed to represent a fight scenario.
Correcto. Yo creo que en mi entender, las formas no son necesariamente que interpretan una pelea.
They teach rules and principles of motion.
Correcto. Yo creo que te enseñan principios de reglas de movimiento.
Mr. Vigoroux, your turn.
Okay, that's a hard because you
yeah.
said here.
Your turn. Su turno, maestro. La pregunta para los que no entendieron.
I was hoping he was going to go first.
I was hoping I didn't show you my hand over here, but I was crossing my finger. You go first.
Ok. Los que preguntaron, la pregunta fue ¿por qué las técnicas están incompletas en la forma 4? Y ahí el profesor ya explicó que hay algunas que están más que completas, están sobre completas. Y respecto de las que están incompletas, no entendí mucho, pero ahí ahora le toca al maestro Frank.
Okay, so, I'm going back and forth so you can get it too as well. I think it's not like they're incomplete or incomplete. I believe what's number one, they teach pattern of timing, number one. They teach abbreviation of move. Few interpretations, patterns of master key as well. That because it's a whole theme in every form. So you see the theme of striking. As a matter of fact, long form 4 is the mother form and the whole system. So when you see a form like long form 4, you can right away, you can understand how American Kenpo works and complete in his whole and entity as an art. So I truly believe, sí.
Ahora en español, maestro.
Sí, entonces yo creo que básicamente no es que está incompleta, sino que enseñan un patrón de movimiento y hay una temática que tiene, esta temática tiene tiempos, ¿verdad? Que trabaja base de 4 tiempos. Y no es que estuvieran completas, lo que pasa es que trabaja, toca los 4 movimientos para hacer ese timing, número 1. Es una pequeña abreviación del movimiento, que no necesita hacerlo completo como una extensión. Y no es que en ese aspecto esté incompleto. Si lo miras de otro aspecto, está muy completo. Está bastante completo, con 4 o 5 movimientos, está bastante completo. Protecting Fan al principio, ¡pop! Y sabemos que eso continúa, pero Protecting Fan en el principio muestra cómo funciona el arte en striking, porque hay una temática, y funciona cómo funcionan los tiempos de esa forma. Right? So now, because I don't truly believe that it's incomplete. Actually, it's very complete and it's very clear. Every element of the form. Obviously, in some part, the form just show, or abbreviation, one segment, one piece, one block of the idea. And then later on, you have a technique, like you said, like 5 sword, pretty much the whole thing. You got thunder and hammer, same idea. The twist stance, you got circle protection, snaking talon, you got a shield and mace. So pretty much you have the whole form, the full technique that show how American Kenpo works in different dimensions. So if you notice, you're striking your opponent in mixed section, high section, but then you work in a lower yourself, working down below. You work in different angles, different type of maneuvers. You explain the striking element of the art. That's why a lot of people, they don't believe much in weapons in Kenpo, because everything in Kenpo is done with base idea in striking. So it's a lot of people that work knife, for example, or calisthenics. They say, well, I should have learned Silat, I should have learned Screama or any Filipino martial art in order to become good in weapon, because everything is thinking more like a striking, you know. And as a matter of fact, in the form 7 and 8, some of the names still remind the empty hand technique, like 5 sword, 5 storm, glance, clutching storm, and so on. So it's a lot of the idea is in the striking motion. So I think it's very complete in both sides when you see one piece or when you see the whole form, because ultimate it's the element of put there and express the theme of the form. And I agree with James that he said it's not quite a form that you're gonna learn how to fight. It's a prism of motion and rules of motion as well. So I truly believe that too. So yo creo que al final del día hay muchas técnicas que son completas, hay bastantes técnicas que están completas y otras que parecieran que no, pero todas cumplen su rol, pensando que ese es una forma que te está enseñando cómo todo el sistema de American Kenpo funciona en la parte de golpe. Tiene golpes que funcionan arriba, te lleva hasta abajo, cambia los ángulos. Hay técnicas que están muy completas, como lo dije, Shield Main, 5 Sword, Unwinding Pendulum, que son bastante completas, que ves casi la técnica completa. En otros ves solamente un segmento. Pero al final del día hay una temática detrás de esa, y esa es la que explica finalmente el cometido finalmente de la forma. Explicar todo el concepto, como lo dijo James.
Creo que lo había dicho por ahí alguien, que la forma 4 enseña todo.
Es la madre.
Es la madre, sí. Me gustaría agregar una nota mía personal.
Sí.
Porque creo que lo conversamos alguna vez, en alguna oportunidad, maestro Frank. Pero esto lo voy a decir en inglés.
Ya.
Después lo explico. Porque quedan solo 2 preguntas. ¿Alguna vez, maestro, I remember some year, I don't know what was, but we was working on timing in the forms.
Un día yo estaba trabajando
when you use protecting fans, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that's the reason to stop there. You said unwind pendulum. 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Mm-hmm.
And most techniques have the same timing. I'm not sure, but I remember we talked about it in some seminar here in Chile.
Correct.
O sea, lo que dije es que mi visión es que las técnicas las que están cortadas es porque están cortadas en el tiempo 4 de la forma.
Claro, dame un segundito, te escucho, dame un segundito.
Sure.
Keep going.
I'm not sure if you get my idea, Professor Seabrook. I think the techniques that are not fully done is because, on my humble point of view, following the timing of the form. So if we have 2, 1, 2. If we have 3, 1, 2, 3. And we have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If we have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Something like that. That's my humble opinion. O sea, yo lo que le había contestado a la persona que hizo esa pregunta. Pero quedan solo 2 y son de Laura. Just 2 questions left from Laura.
Laurita.
Laura, saluda. Abre el micrófono, Laura. Abre el micrófono y di hola, por lo menos. Ah, ya quiero bailar, Frank. Mira.
Laura.
Hola, ¿cómo están?
Bien, Laurita.
Un gusto estar con ustedes.
Igualmente.
Ah, estamos ahí con pura estrella hoy día, pura estrella.
Es un lujo.
Laura, estas son las preguntas que dejaste tú en el foro.
Sí.
Que tienen que ver con las artes que él practica y tienen que ver con si prefiere movimientos cortos lineales o prefiere movimientos circulares. Eso está bueno para el maestro Frank también. Va la primera. So, the last 2 questions, Professor Seabrook. Having you study and practice different art and martial art, combat arts, which one do you consider most effective in real combat?
Oh, what a tough question. I would say that from the martial arts that I've studied,
Del arte marcial que yo he estudiado,
if I had to pick,
si tengo que agarrar,
You need to pick.
American Kenpo and Gracie Jiu-jitsu.
yo tendría que agarrar 2 artes, American Kenpo y Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Perfecto.
Jiu-jitsu is humbling
Jiu-Jitsu es como un...
because you get tapped a lot.
Te agarra porque te tira al piso, te controla más. Tienes como que hacer más eso.
But I think that Kenpo and Jiu-Jitsu is such a beautiful combination.
That's great.
Una mezcla.
Sí, yo creo que Jiu-Jitsu y Kenpo sería una combinación muy buena.
Okay.
¿Puedo hacer otra consulta de la misma?
Sí, claro.
Claro.
Tengo una duda, porque generalmente, bueno, en Kenpo,
Ujú.
los movimientos son rápidos, ¿ya? Se busca la velocidad y por lo tanto son no con mucha trayectoria en los movimientos. Se usan cortos, poca trayectoria, no como otras artes que levantan los brazos y golpean. Se entiende que a mayor trayectoria, ¿cierto? Por la energía cinética, ¿cierto? La fuerza de gravedad y todo, a mayor distancia, el golpe es más efectivo en el momento final. En el Kenpo tendemos a abrumar al contrincante y uno de esos golpes es el potente y el que entra con mayor trayectoria.
Laura, maestro, tranquilo. Esa pregunta la hiciste, la tengo escrita. Tal cual la dijiste.
Sí. Ya,
I have that question
dale.
written also and summarized. You did it. The question is, Professor Seabrook and Master Frank, you need to think about this. In a combat, what do you prioritize? Speed with short movements, short paths, or more angular trajectory so the impact is greater, or a mix of both, so you can overwhelming at the moment of impact. So
What was the first part?
The first part, if you use short distance and let's say lines, short distance, prioritizing the speed. So from here to there, in terms of speed, so from here to there, we get speed and we get the target, or you prefer to use some more greater path to impact to get more power on there, or a combination of both?
So basically, it's what are you choose better using long ranges weapons, or you're using short type of motion to create overwhelming your opponent? Which you were using, or use both?
Yeah, I do like to use both, but I want to reiterate, I feel that the safest distance is, 2 arm lengths apart or skin tight.
No, yo más o menos uso los dos. Yo creo que hay una que se aprecia el golpe de larga distancia y otro yo creo que a veces que tiene que ser muy corta distancia.
In a stand-up sparring environment,
Por ejemplo, en una pelea de dos que están parados,
sometimes I will get in those exchanges,
cuando dos están haciendo un intercambio,
but street fight, I want to be 2 arm lengths away or skin tight to them so they can't punch.
so, yo creo que en la calle yo usaría haciendo una distancia corta para que no se gane el más fuerte o para asegurar la pelea.
¿Y usted, maestro?
Against a bigger, stronger, heavier person, yes, I might have more skill, but I don't want to get hit.
Yeah, a veces yo creo que el tipo más fuerte y más que tiene más estilo podría ser, pero yo no quiero usar todos mis recursos.
So sometimes I say, use strategy, not wishful thinking.
A veces tu estrategia no es la mejor sabia, muchas veces en la calle.
Gracias.
Okay, I don't have more questions written. So Fernando tiene preguntas.
Yo con respecto a lo mismo, ya creo entender un poco distinto a lo que quería preguntar Laura. ¿Qué opina el profesor Jamie de cargar el arma, recargar el arma? Porque habitualmente nosotros en Kenpo se nos enseña que 5 espadas aquí y el punto de origen acá. Si uno hace ese movimiento, es prácticamente como que eres crucificado. O sea, tiene que salir de ahí. ¿Qué opinas del reloj para el tema de...
Fernando, tranquilo.
Sí, pero de buscar energía?
Basically, what do you think to the term in Kenpo, the old school or whatever type of Kenpo is, but what do you think about the reloading the weapons, so creating long-range weapons rather than to using a point of origin weapon?
Oh,
that's
no, I see what I was saying. Yeah. Well, a couple things I would say. Obviously, you need travel to be able to hit them.
Hay que dos cosas te voy a decir. Para pegar, llegar a donde tienes que ir, necesitas distancia, necesitas trayectoria.
But economy of motion is so important.
Pero economía de movimiento es muy importante.
And the better you become,
y mientras mejor te pones,
you see things if it is telegraphed.
Tú ves cosas porque hay muchas cosas telegráficas que se ven en el momento mientras tú bueno.
Larry Tatum said to me one time.
Larry Tatum me dijo una vez a mí.
The reason why sometimes I appear faster.
Me dijo a mí un día la razón porque yo soy tan rápido.
Is my perceptual speed.
It's true. Mi velocidad perceptual.
So I try to keep things nice and tight.
So yo trato de mantener todas las situaciones bien claras y bien apegaditas, bien cortas.
Thanks for that. Same question for you, Master.
No, you guys know my answer, right? I'm out of here.
No reloading. Don't waste your time reloading. Well, in the case of...
Well, basically, my whole approach is, I see a lot of Bruce Lee. I'm very actually infatuation with Bruce Lee lately. Or at least this past 10 years, I'm being very critical when it's coming to Kenpo, and I believe American Kenpo. It's a great art. It's the whole night yard. He created such a complete type of martial art, very dynamic and very complete. I mean, all this category of motion and how he created these analogies, and in a very systematic way, he created a very mystical martial art, and he put everything in perspective and make you progress and create along with terminology and everything. So he created a very, very clear type of martial art, but very scientific, by the way, very clear and easy to follow, to understand, and to realize, and create your own ideas and strategies. The problem is, to me, he took to old-fashioned type of martial art to explain his ideas. So I think ultimately American Kenpo is such a great system, but it's a very bad method how you implement the system, the systematic way. Something like this, you explain all this with karate. So what happened when you add in all this term, concept, principle to something, I won't say primitive, but very stiff, very long, very traditional type of martial art, and you implement this idea, obviously you're gonna upgrade the martial art. But the idea is not that. Kenpo is an identity. So Kenpo is not karate. Kenpo is Kenpo. It's like when you see Sistema, the Russian Sistema, or you see Jeet-Kune-Do, or you see even Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or the modern boxing, all that. You see, they're very specific. When you see boxing, you're not gonna see wrestling. When you see Jeet-Kune-Do, you're not gonna see Silat. When you see Sistema, you're not gonna see Krav Maga, and so on. So they're very unique and very particular, and I believe American Kenpo is the same way. So I think, in my humble opinion, the problem the American Kenpo stuck us and make us kind of like going around like the hamster in the wheel. As soon you get the top and you think you discover, boom, you come back again. So it's because the method it's in the way, because we can explain in a very modern way with some basics, and we can get there at the point. So I can explain point of origin, about alignment, opposite and reverse, for example, and so on. Not quite with a technique. I can do Kenpo actually without doing any type of techniques. So in my opinion, real quick, I think ultimate, when we said long range weapons or short range weapons, I believe one thing, and just it's a theme to, or a topic to master. If we been teaching, introducing three type of basic of way to create power or strength, such as body momentum, marriage of gravity, and rotational force, those three. If we got that, it's just a matter to training yourself around those three. What I mean by that, if in Thundering Hammer, for example, is a very old school type of training, coming here and loading, reloading, and so on. We understand that if I create a long range weapon, I'm gonna bust your ass. The problem is, if you move, what's gonna happen? So my own move could create an angle of no return, so we gotta be careful with that. But we don't see that because our opponent is a dummy. He doesn't move. He's just gonna react to a very specific type of reaction. So it's gonna work in a very ideal phase. So everything's gonna pretty much work in the end. But going farther, that with all this, I truly believe when you study how the sort of strain in your body works, it's just a matter, use that. In other words, clear, because I don't want to, we can be hours talking about this, but like, for example, a good boxer, back in the 20s, Rocky and all that, so it was very long range, but a good boxer, Sugar Ray Leonard, Mike Tyson, and those guys, and the new generation of boxers, what they discovered, not going back, they discovered to use the body in order to create power. So even in the Western type of martial art, which is a boxing, in the Western fighting today, in the MMA and all that, but they break the rules sometimes in MMA, but whatever. But in the modern and scientific martial art today, they develop way to not wasting time, wasting energy, and wasting distance. And that to believe in order to have an efficient, beautiful, lethal, and power martial art, I think we gotta base everything in how you creating the power. That's ultimately I believe. So that answered the question to not reload it, for example, which I'm very big and crazy to use in very short motion, point of origin and everything, you know, 5 swords and go and set and go like this. It's one. So you got one time, so you block, do deflecting and strike. So as your inward block already created, you framing already when you inward block, and the hand sword is already there. So just one single bit. And so something like that. That's what I kind of like looking for. And obviously, long range weapon, we know that. I mean, if you're a good martial Japanese karate guy is coming to you with that Yakazuki punch, reverse punch, obviously it's gonna break you in pieces. But you know, that's pretty much my idea. I think it's all about how you need to concentrate and you need to training the way to creating the right sort of power and setting to muscleify your weapons, because the weapon, they're dead. The weapon need an engine to work through, and that is, I truly believe, and then is how you maneuver your body, and that's pretty much, that's what I'm saying. It's not fast, it's a domino effect. It just happened. So if I go this one, obviously it's a low case, middle case, and upper case. So everything work and synchronize and happen because we're making work in one entire orbit. So when this go over here, obviously you got this, and be careful if you're not using the shoulder as well. So I think ultimate, by master the way to create power with your body, the answer is quite like there. That's my belief. Ahora le explico ahora rapidito. Yo creo que básicamente no es tanto concentrarte que el movimiento es corto o es largo o es rápido. Lo que se necesita maestrear aquí es cómo tú produces la fuerza. Y nosotros en Kenpo hemos sido introducidos a 3 maneras de crear fuerza. Una es la fuerza rotatoria, la fuerza de impulso hacia adelante y la fusión gravitacional. Cuando uno maestrea, no sé si la palabra está correcta, pero cuando uno logra la maestría en desarrollar la habilidad de producir fuerza, lo demás es lo demás. Entonces un boxeador nunca va a echar el brazo para atrás. Estamos claros que si este brazo llega aquí y desde aquí sale desde aquí y llega allá, definitivamente va a romper todo lo que está subido. El problema es, falta que yo me quede ahí para cuando ese brazo se levante.
That's I think, sorry if I said this in English. For you, professor and master, I think that's the link between both of you. And let me explain first in Spanish. Ahí hay dos, yo lo dije antes de que llegaran los maestros. Hay una visión en donde combina con harta fundación, etcétera. Entonces, como está, como lo dije al principio, como una gran maestro Seabrook tiene varias artes marciales, no solamente Kenpo Karate, unas fundaciones bien grandes así, y arriba en la punta de la lanza de la casa, ahí tenemos la velocidad que el maestro Frank está hablando. Entonces, yo veo un link entre medio de ellos dos, y esto es lo que voy a decir ahora, pero lo voy a decir en inglés. I see a kind of link between your views, and it's the dead dummy. The dead dummy have problems when we try to do thundering hammer or whatever. Any technique where the dummy is dead, is not doing anything. We are just choreographing motion. But in my point of view, as I said before, and as I hear from Master Parker, as you need to have good feet, you need to have good hands. As you need to have circular motions, you need to have strictly strike motions and a combination of both. So that's my link between both of you. And that's the reason for me, and that's the reason with the help of Cristobal and Fernando and Juanito, bring you both here and fight me. and, and then we can talk. Bueno, lo que estaba diciendo era que...
We'll tag team against you, Nelson.
No. One on one, okay? One on one.
I take the left, you take the right, and we're pulling, we're breaking in half.
Me agarran los dos, me fui al carajo. Entonces, no, quería mostrar un ejemplo, maestro, a ver si lo puede explicar. I know we are taking more the time I told you, Professor. So we are at least 45 minutes more than I told you. Sorry for that. But I would like to take just one example, because one of the techniques that we need to work today for this class was dirty mace. So my question here is for both of you. Mi pregunta es para los dos aquí. Lo vamos a hacer simple y bien básico. En la base, no lo voy a hacer ni Vigoroux, ni Parque, ni nada, por favor. Solamente quiero un movimiento. Después de que hacemos la base,
After we do
la base,
the basic
entramos con la extensión.
technique, and then we do the extension.
Desde aquí,
from here,
esto se abre, ¿no? Remember, acuérdense que la extensión dice que esto se tuerce y se abre para entrar de nuevo con un diagonal and collapsing elbow.
So,
Let's do it again.
When you you twist it in that move, you unwind them back and you make yourself wide open. That's because, as a theory said, that's something that you will do. Professor James.
James Seabrook.
So you're asking a question about the extension?
No, he's basically when you unwind in that punch, the elbow, you will make it wide open in order to come back. How will you do that motion?
Yeah, but don't over exaggerate. So get this hand in position. Yeah, get that hand in position. Come down with the straight.
No lo voy a exagerar. Yes.
Yeah. You do have to cock it up to get a bit of travel, but don't overdo it, obviously, right?
So yo lo voy a subir, pero no lo voy a sobreextender.
Okay.
And then come down.
Perfecto. Y en el caso, maestro, usted en esta extensión ni siquiera me imagino que deja el contacto aquí, ¿o no? Si tiene que hacer la extensión.
Porque no hay ninguna papa caliente.
¿Acá? No.
Entonces, si tú estás... All right, so basically, so you go twist again. Do it again. Twist it. Okay, where you going now? ¿Dónde vas ahora? Con el elbow. ¿Dónde vas con el codo? Okay, so why you need to open? Okay, so hit the elbow. Okay, so now turn yourself and leave the elbow there and use the other hand. Then get back again.
Boom.
Yeah, because you're using your body. So now you master the way. You know what I mean?
Using the weight.
Your body.
Using the weight of the body to empower the.
To create momentum, power, energy, strength, and obviously you cover your center line, that's just your. That's just your thing.
Actually, if I do this, I can invite him with a backup weapon.
Absolutely.
It's a good approach, and that's the reason I told you both. The project was for this year, but the quarantine.
I can't wait for that. I can't wait.
Those are crazy times.
I know. I can't wait to come back, and now with James, that'll be phenomenal. Oh my God, I would love to.
Eso va a estar increíble. La idea de lo que estaba traduciendo, ojo, para los que dicen que no he traducido mucho. Está todo grabado. El profesor pidió también que se le envíe la grabación. Él la va a subir a su propio YouTube. Entonces va a estar todo grabado y si alguien tiene una pregunta de lo que dijo aquí o lo que dijo acá, después tenemos clase, acuérdense que martes y jueves tenemos clases. Todos invitados a allá. Vamos a hacer propaganda con Nescafé. Entonces...
Musashi tiene pregunta ahí.
¿Cómo?
Musashi tiene pregunta. Basically, he wanted to both together that he's working on for the next seminar.
I think we would bring a very, very interesting and fun mix.
Yo creo que vas a traer un muy interesante y entretenido mezcla.
Ok, ahora sí, Cristian, tenía una pregunta. Pero yo, ojo, le estaba diciendo que le quité tiempo al maestro, 45 minutos más de lo que le pedí, así que, por favor, corta la última pregunta. Last question. Sorry, Professor Seabrook.
Ya que se está hablando de los cambios del Kenpo o la adaptación del Kenpo, profe Fran, para que traduzca para no dejarlo después.
Okay, so since we are talking about the new change, the new evolution of American Kenpo, ¿sigue?
¿Qué piensan? Esta la pregunta es para los dos.
Football.
¿Qué piensan con respecto a mí personalmente, el uso de defensa contra cuchillo del Kenpo y de armas? Profe.
I'm sorry. Gracias. So for a question for both. So far, what do you think about how to deal and defend yourself with or against knife?
No es tan efectivo actualmente como el Krav Maga.
I feel like American Kenpo technique, self-defense technique, is not much effective like a Krav Maga system.
Ahora que ya han cambiado los tiempos, por ejemplo, Miyamoto Musashi se hizo muy fuerte porque él adaptó los sistemas de combate y defensa.
Musashi adapted a new old school method of training of self-defense for modern days. There's something that American Kenpo haven't done.
¿Qué creen ustedes dos con respecto que el Kenpo habría que tal vez incorporarle o adaptarles, como está la sociedad, que la sociedad actual que ya no usa tanto las manos, usa más armas, de incorporarle tal vez un poco de adaptarle o cambiarle o ponerle un poco de Krav Maga o un poco de otra disciplina? ¿Qué creen ustedes con respecto a eso?
What do you guys both think about to adapting American Kenpo to a modern days type attack? Keeping in mind that society today, you're gonna deal with weapons, not just empty hand situations. You're gonna deal a lot of weapons. You think it's a good thing to add in things like Krav Maga or another type of art to make it more complete and more efficient, American Kenpo? You go first if you like.
All right, so there's a few things that I would say.
Son un par de cosas que yo quiero decir.
The first is,
la primera es,
and I'm saying this very humbly,
y lo voy a decir muy humble, Juan,
humildemente.
Yeah. Having trained and got my black belt directly under Grandmaster Remy Precis.
Yo trabajé, wow, James, I didn't know that. That's awesome. Yeah. Yo trabajé mi arte filipino directamente del maestro Remy Precis. That's awesome.
I definitely struggle with the Kenpo techniques as taught, the Lance techniques.
Yeah, yo creo que yo me estuve ahí como complicando con el sistema American Kenpo de la manera como lo aprendí, después de haber aprendido con Remy Precis. Yeah.
So to be honest,
para ser honesto a ti,
it very much surprises me when I hear some of the Kenpo highest rank say that the techniques as written are great.
So yo me sorprendo mucho cuando algunos de grado alto dicen que la técnica como fue escrita no es tan efectiva.
Every time I thought I was good with knives or sticks,
siempre pensé que yo era bueno con cuchillo y palo.
Remy gave me a good humbling lesson.
Y Remy me dio unas lecciones bastante humildes. O sea, tremenda lección.
I do feel that Kenpo is lacking a lot on the ground.
Yo creo que Kenpo está como un poquito ahí medio frenado en lo que es en el piso.
And I get the argument that the last place you want to be is on the ground.
Yo entiendo el argumento que todo el mundo dice que el último lugar que tú quieres estar es en el piso.
But I believe you better know what to do if the fight goes there.
I too believe too. Pero lo que yo creo que tú debieras saber, por lo menos algo de piso, porque si la situación llega ahí, debieras saberlo.
The other thing that might surprise you
La otra cosa que seguramente te sorprenderá
is a lot of people believe that Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is all on the ground.
que todo lo que la gente cree que el sistema de Jiu-Jitsu brasileño, de Jiu-Jitsu de Gracie, que todo en el piso, te va a sorprender.
I've learned way more moves for clubs and knives in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu than all of Kenpo combined.
Wow. Yo
Wow.
aprendí una técnica de palo y cuchillo en la escuela de Gracie Jiu-Jitsu más que en el American Kenpo. Te va a sorprender. Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to get to purple belt level.
Y yo solamente estaba llevando al nivel de púrpura, imagínate.
After close to 10 years.
Después cercano casi de los 10 años. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, púrpura. Púrpura en armas.
So I do feel that there's room to take from other styles to make our Kenpo better.
Y eso yo creo que siempre se pueden tomar otras técnicas de otros artes para hacer el Kenpo mejor.
And then I want you to translate this. I'm dying to hear what Frank Vigoroux says now.
Oh, that's gonna cost you, brother.
Traduzca, maestro, traduzca lo que dijo.
Well, let me have some water, please.
Sin atorarse.
No, yo creo que definitivamente Kenpo no tiene todo, pero tiene todo. I do believe that American Kenpo Ultimate got everything, but I'm missing everything as well. Because American Kenpo Ultimate, it's just, and this, a lot of people are going to crucify me, but it's so good. Yo creo que mucha gente me va a crucificar.
Put the nails.
Yeah, so I'm going to try to go like Spanish and English immediately, so both get the what I'm saying.
We're finished this.
Uh-huh. Okay, so anyway, I truly believe American Kenpo, like I said, it's. I know people's gonna blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I've been doing Kenpo for quite some time. You know, I started in '84 formally in American Kenpo, and then I moved from there. So I've been pretty much Kenpo's been my mother art. You know, and keeping in mind that, you know, I did Kenpo in South America, and Kenpo back then in the 80s, it was more like karate, like anything else. So, but it was American Kenpo, dress like karate or vice versa. Anyway, so obviously over the year and then coming to here to this day and learn from different people and so on. So my Kenpo obviously changed, and I really meet finally the true American Kenpo, whatever. But it's not the point. The point is, I truly believe that Kenpo, it's not quite a combat art. Kenpo is the way to understand martial arts. Because the Kenpo Ultimate is the study and the most academically way to explain by scientific principle martial art. In other words, I can watch any type of martial art and I can tell you right away what they're doing and how to explain that by using very high definition of move and high terminology. So that's the fact. Let me translate this and then I move to the next thing. So yo creo que Kenpo tiene algo bien importante que no tiene la otra marcial. Kenpo es en realidad el sistema para poder enseñar todas las artes marciales y no es en sí un estilo de combate. Y por eso digo, aquí me van a crucificar, porque esto no es un estilo de combate. Pero con el Kenpo, con el estudio del Kenpo, por la terminología y por el alto nivel de entendimiento del movimiento, nosotros podemos entender cualquier tipo de otro arte. Entonces, el que está buscando, que dice, bueno, a ver si con el Kenpo yo me defiendo, yo le recomiendo que se vaya a la feria y aprenda de un choro en la calle de la feria, porque te va a aprender mejores técnicas. Pero me voy a mover para allá. So I truly believe, ultimately, that the art of Kenpo, it's really up to the individual. like for example, that's what I said in the very beginning. Old school type of method. It really is. It really is. I mean, when you see Parker and pretty much 3 evolution period of time from the 50s, 60s, and ultimately the 70s, to not mention the 80s, when pretty much the American Kenpo as we know today it taking place. And 80s Kenpo, the icon of the new American Kenpo, the icon, the true icon of American Kenpo, what we enjoy today, definitely is Larry Tatum. Is the icon of when Parker finally finished the product. And the representation of the final product, definitely it's Larry Tatum. That changed the course of American Kenpo forever. Even when a lot of people, people ask me what happened with American Kenpo when Parker went backcountry and the IRS took all the chain of school and the franchise went over, blah, blah, blah. Larry Tatum kind of like help, whatever. It's another story. But anyway, I don't want to get into the political part of Kenpo. But anyway, Tatum is the one who ultimately give American Kenpo the perspective that the one we're training today. But let's go back now. We got 50s karate, definitely. I mean, with the influence of maybe Okinawan karate, Shinryu karate, and a few influences from judo back then. So it was very Japanese lineal type of move. And then in the 60s, Parker started looking, James Wu, Bruce Lee came in the picture. So whatever the linear turned into more circular. So that's when the influence of Chinese karate started taking place. That's why I call Chinese karate. It's very interesting how it turned from very linear into circle. And then in the 70s, he started getting more aspect of science into it. So he discovered that, wait, lines for karate and circle for, wait, but that something's going on here. So he started reevaluating the whole art and give it the most scientific perspective of what we know today. And in the 70s, I would say when American Kenpo started getting together and take the shape of what we see today. And then finally in the 80s, it's the final result of this product. So saying that, American Kenpo doesn't have the 100 solutions. Definitely doesn't have. But in my humble opinion, I think ultimate American Kenpo, if you really study closely, ya lo voy a traducir, if you ultimately get very analytical, get deep in the art, there's a lot of key and clues in the art that if you really get and study those things and put the chain together, link in one piece of the chain, you will find out that this art is unbelievable. And to me, it doesn't have every answer, but every answer are already built there. That's why you can take idea of jiu-jitsu and you say jiu-jitsu, yeah, because you can understand jiu-jitsu. We said boxing, yeah, because you can understand boxing, because you got a really strong fundamental study of science. And then you said Krav Maga, because you really understand. You understand center line, quadrant zone, division of move, character completion, and so on. So you really know how to, so you can take advantage of that. But ultimately, you are doing any study of any formal modern warrior art, you are learning or you're absorbing in the Kenpo perspective. So the thing with Kenpo people, when you start in Kenpo, you screw, because you're going to see everything in the Kenpo face. Now, when you, I'm sorry, this is kind of deep, but when ultimate you discover the art in that level, in that sense, in that perspective, I truly believe that things, for example, and I go back and forth, things, for example, like finger set in the 50, black and white footage from Mr. Park in the 50 with Chuck Sullivan doing finger set. When you see that finger set, that's a Park himself doing. But when you see that finger set, you try to mimic and teach that, or relearn, or teach that same finger set to your student, you're gonna have to close down your studio. You're not gonna get anywhere. You know for a fact that doesn't have any sense of dimension, perspective, and nothing. It's just one, try to figure it out, things you can tell. It was just an experiment. It was just an experiment back there. Obviously, everything involved in such a high level category is because Parker adding science into it. Now we got a whole explanation. So it's not just one fact, it's a fact. There's so many other facts and aspects. I'm sorry to get deep. But finally, when you got things such as self-defense art per se, it will work only in the sense, or the reason will work if we get intelligent, we know how to create in power, we know how to work in timing, we know how to work the right force, the right strain, the right distance, take care of center lines, doing point of origin, create master opposite reverse. So ultimate, it's all about Kenpo. It doesn't matter how or what type of martial art you choose, the recipes is the same. So ultimate, I can learn any other martial art, but if I don't got the scientific element into it, it won't happen. It doesn't have the magic. I will just mimic. I will just follow like a monkey see, monkey do. So I think ultimate Kenpo got everything, but it's all depend who teach you Kenpo, any type of martial art. So my answer again to, I went around so much because there's so much here. It's ultimate. The most efficient martial art is the one that is the more intelligent. And the most intelligent individual is created when you teach an individual science. When you teach an individual why. When you teach an individual
okay, master. We get the idea. Sorry if I interrupt, master.
We need 2 more hours.
Yeah. Sorry if I interrupt, because I'm taking too much time from Professor Seabrook, and I want to leave the last word from him. And no se preocupen los muchachos porque está todo grabado y después la traducción de lo que dijo el maestro Frank y que ya nos ha dicho antes va a ir. Pero me gustó eso que dijo de la inteligencia, maestro. And I think it's time to move from the survival of the fittest to survival of the witness, the wizard. It's like the intelligence, right? And my final words, I hope you have your own words. Sorry for one more time for take too much time from you, Professor. But I would like to, like Frank says, and then we start in karate, and then we get the Chinese circular. It's a funny phrase that you have here in your book. I like that phrase, and if you grant me the permission, I will read this. And
yes, please do, because I'll definitely forgot.
It's really short. Today, people tend to refer to karate in conjunction with Japanese or Okinawan-based styles. But if we really think about it, karate is relatively modern. Kenpo, on the other hand, has a history that is hundreds of years old. So karate comes from the same source. My final words. I hope your final words to finish this story. Again, Professor, this is have been a really good time. Yo después voy a traducir esto para todos, pero no quiero tomarle más tiempo al profesor. If you have some final words.
Yeah, my final words. It's been an absolute pleasure being on here with all of you. I will tell you this. It is absolutely crazy how much Frank Vigoroux and I think alike. Like, it's identical. And the way I view Kenpo is that, in my opinion, Kenpo is not a pure art. It's not a traditional art. Correct. It's a modern, evolving format. Absolutely. So it's very important that it doesn't remain stagnant. So we have to continue to evolve and grow and learn, and that's how we become better martial artists.
Like the book. Like your book. Like your book. You said, if I write now, that will be not the same book.
And you know, it's like sometimes, you know, like, geez, I look at some of my old videos on YouTube and I cringe.
Me too.
But
all my old videos, man. I don't want to see it. And when people go, oh, man, Mr. Vigoroux, I got the front. You
yeah,
the garbage.
Because we evolve and we improve, but rather than deleting them all, it is a taste of who we are in the past. True. So I started Kenpo karate in 1985, so quite a long time ago. And geez, I look at some of those videos from the past that I can't even look at that. But
Jim, we're from the same generation, by the way. Wow.
1985, yeah.
Nothing, it's coincidence. Everything is a reason why. Man, I'm so happy to be here, man. I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
But we grow.
Such a blessing.
And right back at you, my friend.
But,
such a blessing.
¿Cómo se dice 22? 22 hours. 22 hours, at least here in Chile.
I just did the no-touch knockout.
we need to rest, all of us, not only the masters. So thank you one more time. And I hope to have you here one more time, or no. I prefer to be in physical, not in virtual. But we can talk later. Y lo mismo le digo a los demás. Ok, entonces digo, nos despedimos todos. Thanks one more time.
Thank you.
Professor Seabrook.
Thank you.
Jamie, thank you so much, brother. So
thank
good to see you. God bless you, to you and your family. And it was such a pleasure.
You too, my friend. It's great seeing you. I hope to see you again in person very soon.
Definitely, brother. All the best.
Okay. Okay.
Bye,
guys. Take care.
Saludos a todos.